Hi guys, welcome back to the Sports VIP Lounge. We know it's been a while, but we wanted to start this back up because the NFL season's starting back up. Alright, the first segment we're going to do is Under the Radar, which is basically where we name an Under the Radar team and an Under the Radar player and why we think they are going to be good, but not very thought of. I'll start. My Under the Radar team is the Jaguars. I think they have all the pieces to be good with a good quarterback, good running back, and they have all right receivers, but that's not their standout point. And then their defense and O-line are also solid.
So my under the radar, the team is the Falcons, especially with their new running back, Bijan Robinson and Drake London. I know their QB situation isn't the best right now, but they have a okay defense. It's healthy now, so I hope they're gonna get back to it this year.
I don't mind that, but Drake London got 0 points for me in fantasy this week, so no, just don't mention him, please.
They still managed to beat the Panthers.
All right, shut up.
By 14 points.
I actually did see that happening, though.
You did?
Yeah.
I think Drake London just has to settle in.
I mean, Hayden Hurst was our top receiver, and he's a tight end. He
really
got the most targets, which was absurd.
Yeah.
Like, find Jonathan Mingo. Okay, for my under-the-radar team, I went with the Jets. I know they're not much of an under-the-radar team, but we all know that they have Aaron Rodgers, and then in the offseason they got Dalvin Cook, who's been a staple in the Viking offense for years. They have Garrett Wilson, who is the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Sauce, who's one of the best corners in the league. Quinnen Williams, who's a very good D tackle that will put pressure on the quarterbacks of the other teams. And some other good players like Breece Hall, DJ Reed, and Alan Lazard. They could definitely improve with Aaron Rodgers' help and influence. And in their upcoming game with the Bills, I think it's possible that they squeak out a win here.
I like that, although I do not think they're under the radar. I think a lot of people are thinking they're going to actually go to the Super Bowl or succeed this year. So I do think they're going to be really successful as a team because they have all the pieces, like you said, but I don't know
They're
about
not
under
a
the
Super
radar.
Bowl team. No, they're not going to the Super Bowl.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
I know. I'm just disagreeing with that. My under-radar team is the Browns. As we all know, they got off to a hot start. Maybe because they are well aware to weather conditions, I should say. Because Burrow had like 78 yards, but I really like how Deshaun Watson is going to his potential of what he can perform as. But yeah, I got the Browns here. My player is Calvin Ridley. He had a very great start to the year. I have him in every fantasy league. He's built. He's got great route running. He's also got a quarterback to help him out if, just like every good receiver needs, a pretty decent quarterback. So
my under the radar player is Darren Waller. I think obviously the Giants did not have the best game last night, but I think with really nobody else around him that he can get a lot of targets and can be the go-to guy this year. So I think if he can catch the ball, he could be a stud of a tight end.
So my under the radar player is Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe a little of a bias, but I just see a ton of young talent and potential in him. He reminds me of a much better Raheem Mostert. He's really good on the stretch. He had a great year at Alabama, so I'm happy we picked him.
as long as he gets the carries, I agree.
For my under-the-radar player, I'm going with Rasul Douglas. He is a 6'2", 210-pound cornerback for the Packers. He doesn't get as much recognition because they have Jair Alexander, who is an amazing cornerback. He's still a great player, though. For last year, he had 4 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and 65 solo tackles. Even though he's 28 and the average retirement is 28, I think he has potential for a breakout season.
I like that.
All right. Next up.
Is that it? I like that.
All right, next up on
Next
up on Sports VIP Lounge, we have hot takes. We're each gonna name one hot take, and this might start some arguments, but sorry. My hot take is that Jared Goff will have a standout year, and end the year as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
I don't mind that.
I disagree, but I love the take.
For my For my first hot take, it is sorta stupid after their first game. Panthers win the NFC South. There's Falcons, Saints, Bucks, and Panthers. People talked about Derek Carr being like a huge trade, one of the bigger ones in the offseason.
I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna.
Bryce looked terrible.
All right. I think that. I don't know. Derek Carr is one of the bigger bigger moves in the offseason. That I disagree with that. I think he's kind of like he and Jimmy Garoppolo. I know they didn't come from like they didn't just switch, but I think both of those are just kind of like doesn't really matter.
I'm saying like big talked about, not like a big like.
I know. But
it's a groundbreaking
I don't even
trade.
think they were really that talked about. Like I feel like
I heard a lot about them.
I feel like there were a lot of other draft players and trades that were.
I agree with that, but it was one of the bigger ones. In my
I will
opinion.
say, actually, Derek Carr played really well.
He did play very well.
Panthers have the worst division in the NFL. I think it's safe to say that. I think they could do it if Bijan Robinson. I think he can be a star. So if he shines for the if he shines for the Falcons, I think the Falcons could win that division.
I think the Falcons win that division for sure.
Based on their first game,
Their
it was
defense
not, we played horrible.
is like the Jets actually.
Yeah. But
I
they
think
added.
it's a great
Panthers added a bunch of new additions.
Speaking of, the news was released today that Aaron Rodgers is out for the season.
Yeah, he was on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
That screwed me over.
No,
I'm very
they
angry
said
about that.
Fear.
I don't know. I think it's happening. That's going to be very,
Aaron
very depressing.
Rodgers will miss the rest of the season after MRI
yeah,
confirms
42 minutes ago. All right.
Achilles.
That's horrible. Okay, well, what I was saying is they also made some huge additions. Obviously, they picked up Bryce Young in the draft, who did not look very good at all. Miles Sanders, who did decent in that game. Adam Thielen, who didn't get much targets. Hayden Hurst, who only got he got I think the most targets on that team, and some other good mid defensive players.
Yep.
And I think it's possible that they pull out with a win here, or at least a winning season, because it's the worst division.
Yeah.
My next hot take is Deshaun Watson has the potential to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
I could see that.
I could after that first game.
Yeah,
I could really see it.
He didn't play that well.
He really didn't. The defense did everything else.
But I really like how the Browns play this year.
I agree.
I think his potential from being where he was 5,000 yards with one of the worst receiving cores in football a couple of years ago. I think he could go past that now that he has a receiving core, pretty decent one, some good tight ends. So that's my hot take.
I don't know if it's just me or if I'm just saying things, but Deshaun Watson looks a lot bigger to me than he did when he was on like thicker, sturdier than when he was on the Texans. So I think if he gets out of the pocket, and obviously he has an arm, we've all seen it. So I think if he uses his body a little bit more, he's not as big as Josh Allen, but he could get out of the pocket like him, and I think he could run without having to slide or dive. So I think Deshaun Watson could step up as a good mobile quarterback, personally.
Yeah, I agree, because obviously he got better, a lot better wide receiver cores, and he definitely has potential to be top 5.
So the next segment we have is what we call college football prime. We're going to talk a little bit college football, give our Heisman prediction, and the big game this week. There isn't, the games are not huge.
Yeah, they're not very good.
But Penn State, Illinois is the one we'll talk about. I'm going to go first for my Heisman prediction. Michael Penix Jr. He has 800 yards passing, back-to-back 400 yards games. He's shown that he could be a Heisman, and I believe he wins it this year.
I'm going to disagree with you on this because I think there are a lot of other quarterbacks, like Caleb Williams, for example, that I think are going to be a lot better than he is. And he's under the radar, I would say, but I don't know about Heisman. I think that's a little bit of a stretch.
For my prediction, I'm thinking Drake May. He looked very good last season with 4,320 passing yards, and he got actually a lot of rushing yards too. Their wide receiver core is not very amazing. They're just a mid. Tight end is also okay. I think if he plays this season like he played last season, I think he definitely has potential to win it.
All right. again, like Nolan, I think they're both really solid players, but I don't know if I would go to the stretch of saying Heisman because it's just all the other great players in college football. So
Especially after that App State performance.
Okay, I don't want to hear it.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was kind of a joke.
All right, my Heisman prediction is Jordan Travis because I don't know. He seems like a great player. He has people around him. He can he's mobile. He kind of has it all for a quarterback. Like he's mobile. He can pass the ball. He's really accurate. So I think that's my prediction.
The big game we're going to talk about is Penn State versus Illinois. It's going to be big noon kickoff. Really the only big rivalry, I guess you could say. Actually, Illinois beat Penn State 2 years ago in 2019, or 3 years ago now, 17-10, and Penn State was ranked number 7. Illinois obviously unranked. In this one, I think Penn State pulls away. The Illinois offense looks just not productive at all. Their quarterback is also not making the throws. So I'm going to take Penn State 45-17.
I don't know because I think Penn State's gonna be good, but I think people are kind of overhyping them a little bit. So I think that but obviously I'm not gonna say that Illinois is gonna win this game because they almost lost to Toledo, and I think Penn State is obviously a much better team than Toledo. So I am going to go with Penn State here, 42-21.
Yeah, I think it was not very embarrassing, but I think it was pretty embarrassing to get that close to losing to Toledo, who is not a very good team. They have
smoked by Kansas.
Yeah, they have some good players, but Penn State is a lot better than Toledo, and if they played that close or that bad as they played against Toledo, they definitely have no chance. So this time I'm going to go with Penn State 35-28.
Next up, we have NFL predictions. We'll be doing 5 of the biggest games this weekend, and so we'll predict them and what we think the scores are going to be. So the first game we have is the Vikings versus the Eagles.
Thursday Night Football.
Yep. All right, Henry, you want to start us off?
So I watched the Vikings versus the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers obviously did way better than expected. The Vikings still have Justin Jefferson, and Kirk Cousins, I think, could find him in these seams. They can help him out. I have the Eagles on this one, 28-21.
I would just like to say I'm pretty sure I was the only one that had Baker Mayfield doing well that game. So I am going to go here with the Eagles because if I'm the Vikings, you can't be losing to a team that has no talent like the Buccaneers, or very little talent. So I'm going to take the Eagles 21-6.
I have a close one. I have the Vikings losing in a game-winning drive. Personally, 35-31.
See, I'm looking I think it's gonna be more of how the Cowboys game went. On the Eagles of the Cowboys, obviously, because the Vikings have one weapon, and that's Justin Jefferson. They have nothing else. So I'm gonna take the Eagles in this one in a blowout, 42-10.
Next game we have is the Chiefs versus the Jaguars. So Henry, you want to start us off again?
Yes, I will. Okay. So the Chiefs did not play very well against the Lions. Obviously, Travis Kelce is hurt still. So I think Patrick Mahomes is going to do better this game, make it closer, but they're playing somebody that has a lot of talent on the team. So I'm going to go I'm going to go the Jaguars on this one, 24-21.
I'll go next. Well, if the Chiefs receivers could catch a pass, I'd definitely take them in this one. But I just think Trevor Lawrence and this Jaguars offense is going to absolutely destroy this Chiefs defense without Chris Jones. Because
They definitely have Chris Jones counter. They just signed him.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so that changes the perspective on things. I still think they're going to win, but not in an offensive blowout. I think this game is going to be a high-scoring game, 35-28 Jags.
Okay, so I honestly do not think Chris John's going to change that much. I mean, he's a really good player, but like it's not like there are very little defensive tackles in the league that can like change a game, and I don't think he's one of them. So I'm going to take the Jaguars here with Trevor Lawrence. I think pretty low scoring game, 17-14 in a close game. I think Travis Etienne rushes for 100 plus yards though. So.
And the next one, I got the Jags too. I'm definitely high on them once again, as I was last year. I think they win 31-28.
Considering the Chiefs have no run game, like, I just think the Jags are going to win. Like, as I've already stated, considering Patrick Mahomes is their leading rusher, considering like Patrick Mahomes isn't like a rushing QB like Lamar or Justin Fields, that's definitely why I predicted the Jags are going to win. That's just another reason.
I'm with you on that. I think
It's embarrassing.
I think the Chiefs receivers really need to step it up this game if they want to have any chance. Because I give big props to the Lions, but the Chiefs had multiple in the last couple of minutes drives where they could have won the game, and their receivers and Patrick Mahomes put a lot of throws right on the money, and their receivers just could not
The pick
catch the ball.
six
That
was
pick six
brutal.
was terrible.
I mean, as a Lions fan, I love it. You'll love to see it, but
All right, next up we got the Jets and the Cowboys. This one could have been a very special one, but of course Aaron Rodgers out for the year.
We don't talk about him.
The Cowboys are on an intimidating defense, just like they showed to the Giants. But the same thing as for the Jets. I think the Jets, like they showed what they could be against the Bills. They're another intimidating defense, but I think the Cowboys just have more on the offensive side of the football, and I think they win 23-20.
All right, Brees Hall last game really impressed me. He had 12.7 yards per carry. So if he can recreate that, Zach Wilson's not the best quarterback right now, and they're exploring their options, which really aren't very many good options. So I don't even know. Like, Zach Wilson didn't play too badly. He had one touchdown, one interception, which isn't the best ratio, but I'm still taking the Jets here. Because the Cowboys played really well, but you couldn't really tell because the Giants played one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. So I'm going to take the Jets here, 21-14.
So the Cowboys came off of a huge win. I think that's going to go to their head. They're not going to play well in this game. So I think the Jets pull away a little bit on this one with a final seconds field goal, 24-21.
I'm going to talk about what Henry was talking about. I think the Cowboys are going to go into this game with their heads held high, and then they're going to get smoked by this Jets team. Maybe a hot take, but I think the Jets win 31-21.
Next one, we've got the Ravens versus Bengals, a solidified rivalry. I think Joe Burrow picks it up. He's got a lot of energy and skill. So I think the Bengals win big here, 34-10. I don't like this Ravens team.
I think if I don't know, Lamar Jackson, I'm not very happy with him right now. He only got me 6 points in fantasy last week, and I lost because the Jets defense put up 20 points. So I'm going to take the Bengals here because Lamar's terrible. So give me the Bengals 28-24.
The Ravens lost J.K. Dobbins in their last game with, I'm not sure what the injury was called or whatever, but their rush game is not going to be great, except obviously they have Lamar, who's amazing at rushing quarterback. But I think the Bengals are going to pull away on this one just because they had a bad loss last week. So I think they're going to pull away. They're 35-21.
I agree with Henry. I think the Bengals are going to come out guns a-blazing, as my dad would say.
That was unfunny. I'm kidding.
After Joe Burrow had 82 yards, which is embarrassing for a QB. So I got Bengals 45-21.
All right, so next up we have Monday night Browns versus Steelers. Is this the first time ever that we've had 2 Monday night games on the same night?
Yes.
I'm gonna be at the Steelers Browns game, so of course I'm gonna take the Steelers here because I'm not gonna root against my own team. So give me the Steelers. Low scoring game, 14-10.
I'm going to take the Browns here, 28-17.
I'm gonna take the Browns just because they came off a good win. I think they're going to keep that up, and it's going to be 28-21.
I think Nick Chubb is going to run over the Steelers in a blowout win, 45-3.
Alrighty, chill out with that one. Alright, that's all we have for you today on Sports VIP Lounge. We'll see you next week.
Subscribe.
Even if my jokes